Hi everyone, my name's Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today we're going to recreate this card and it is gorgeous. It uses one of the stamp sets from the Holiday 2015 mini catalog, and there's the inside panel. And it just is beautiful, and again it's one of those Christmas cards that features a lot of black and white, which is really trendy for 2015. So let me show you the stamp set. It looks like this. It's called Wonderland, and it's on page 23 of the 2015 Holiday Mini Catalog from Stampin' Up. And it also features the designer paper, which is called Winter Wonderland Specialty Designer Series paper, and that's also on page 23. And there's two foil sheets in this designer paper, and you can see how I used them on my card. I used the black and gold at the top and the bottom, and then I used this kind of icicle-like look as the next layer, and then I have a snowflake layer in the middle. So let me go through and show you these papers. This is particularly pretty. I just love that sort of beaded look going down this very shiny black paper. And this has the gold and black and white. Here's some black and white. More black and white. These are like little stars, sort of like looking into the constellations. Here's your snowflake, some gold and white stripes, and some white and black pines. And then we have some mesh, some gold mesh. We have these antlers, which are really trendy right now. I've been seeing them in a lot of different home stores. And then we have some splashes of gold on this white panel in the back. So that's it, and we're going to recreate this card right now. So the first thing that we're going to need is some 5.5 by 8.5 basic black paper, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. And we're just going to go ahead and fold this right along the score line and give it a nice little press so it'll lie flat with us while we work with it. I usually use a bone folder, but it went missing, so I'm sure it's somewhere in the house. I just can't find it at the moment, naturally. For the inside panel, we're going to have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of Whisper White. I took the liberty of stamping this in advance since it wasn't very difficult stamping. I just used a sentiment from that stamp set and some pine up here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and use some snail to attach that to the inside of my card. And we just need one little strip at the top, and as long as we burnish it down, it will stay on there just fine. So the inside panel is done. We're going to set that aside. The next thing that we're going to work on is putting all the designer series paper on this black panel. So this panel is 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to get some scrap paper in the picture just because that will help me see where this panel starts and ends. And the next thing is some strips. These are that gold foil. It was kind of a striped pattern. And what I did is I just cut it into 1/2 inch strips. They're 1/2 inch by 4 inches. You're going to need 2 of them. And that's the first thing that you want to start with when you're attaching your paper to this black panel. So I'm just going to put some snail along the top and some snail along the bottom, and then I can easily attach my strips right along here. So I'm just going to line that up, and it's real easy when you put black on white because then you can see where it needs to go. And I'm lining it up so that it's flush with the left, and then if there's any overhang, I'll trim that later off the right. So again, I'm making sure it's flush with the left, and if there's any overhang, we'll trim it up later. So the next thing we're going to do is add our middle section. This is the 2.5 inch by 4 inch piece of the snowflake. There's gold stripes on the other side. And we're just going to center this as best we can in the very middle of this panel. So we're just going to eyeball that real good. And it looks like it's pretty even with everything. There we go. And then finally we need 2 more strips of that metallic paper. Now using your metallic paper that comes with this specialty paper pack, you will find that if you cut it in narrow strips, you'll get a lot more cards out of it, which is what I did because I used all of this in a big swap that I was in, and I had plenty with just one pack of designer series paper. So now this is a 1 by 4 inch strip, so you're going to cut 2 of those, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some snail down, and we're going to do the very same thing, except this time I'm going to butt up the edge, the top edge, with that top panel that I've already put down, and then on the same on the bottom. I'm going to butt up that edge and then just put that down like this. So now we have our strips on, and then we can flip it over. I'm just going to give this a quick little trim. It's not very much that we have to trim off, but it'll make it look more even and finished. There we go. I think maybe right here too. All right, so now we're ready to glue this down. So we're just going to use some, actually I think I'm going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue. That way I have just a little bit of wiggle room when I put it on, so I can make sure that my layers are just perfectly even with where I want them to be. So we're just centering this into the middle of our front panel. Better make sure. Have you ever done that where you've actually attached the front of your panel to the back of your panel, or to the back of your card? I just did that recently, so I'm a little chicken now. I need to check and make sure that I didn't do that. All right, so that looks good. Now we can go ahead and do a little stamping. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and we're going to stamp on some Whisper White. So I have a 2.5 inch by 4 3/4 inch piece of Whisper White. I'm just going to set this down, and I'm going to grab my, actually I think it'll show up better if I put it on the black. And then I'm going to grab some archival ink from Stampin' Up. This also debuted in the holiday catalog, and it's on page 19. I'm just going to ink this up. And I have it on a block eye. One thing to remember is if you purchase the Claremont stamp set, you will need to make sure that you have blocks if you're doing the Claremont. And that's true with the photopolymer too. If you purchase photopolymer, you'll need some blocks. So here we go. So we're just going to press that down, and we have a real nice image. Then we can bring our paper back into the picture because we're going to sprinkle some snowflakes all over this panel. So I have some soft sky, and I have my snowflakes on a block B, and I'm just going to lightly stamp those in. Now I'm inking every time because this ink is so light that if I used a bunch of generations, it wouldn't even show up. Maybe one more right here. Perfect. All right, so we've got that done. Now we just need to attach this to the base panel, or to a matte panel. So this is 1/8 inch bigger than our white panel. So that measurement is 2 5/8 by 4 7/8. And then we can just go ahead and we'll use a little bit of snail. And we'll just attach this right like this. And you can see it's pretty skinny, but I like the look. And now we're going to go ahead and using some gold cording, which is also new in the holiday catalog. I had a lot of fun placing my first order from the holiday catalog. I am going to tape this around and wrap it 3 times. So the holiday cording can be found on page 24, and I think wrapping it around like 3 or 4 times is great. So I think I'll do 4 times, and then we'll add a little more Scotch tape at the back here just to secure that all, and then we'll just trim that up. This cording is going to be great for making tags because it's kind of stiff, and so it'll be easy to poke through holes when you're making tags. So I'm looking forward to doing that in the future. But for right now, it's really pretty. It's a really pretty embellishment on a card like this. All right, so there's what it looks like, and now all I have to do is add dimensionals. And as you can see, I added 5 dimensionals, so we're going to bring the card back into the picture. And then we're just going to, oh dear, I forgot to put Silent Night at the top. I wonder if I can sneak that in. But we're just going to center this in like so. And then I'm going to take a chance and see if I can do my Silent Night at the top. Now, if this ever happens to you, one thing you need to make sure is, because we put this on dimensionals, you want to make sure that wherever you're stamping is going to be very firm. So to do that, I'm going to add one more dimensional, and I've stuck it on my paper piercer. So I'm just going to open that panel. We're going to scoot this dimensional in. And now that should be sturdy enough for us to stamp across the top. So silly of me to totally forget that, but sometimes that happens. So you're seeing it all in the reel here. So now we're just going to add the Silent Night across the top. And it works perfect. So there you go. There's the finished card. And here is the card that I started with. And they're just gorgeous. I do hope you're inspired by this card, and I know a couple of my customers have already got this stamp set ordered, so they'll be getting it probably next week, and I know they're excited to dig into it. So now they've got a card idea. So have a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by Stamping to Share. I truly appreciate you. If you don't already have a demonstrator, please visit my blog if you'd like to place an order. All the links are there at www.stampingtoshare.com. Bye-bye.